I do a lot of SEO testing nowadays. I still do bits of consultancy and stuff, but it's not my main forte. I get excited when I break things or test the algorithms, because a lot of people play it too safe, or they just believe myths. Whenever there's a myth that's been said, I'm always one of the first, or my group is one of the first to be able to test it out and actually get to the bottom of it. So that's one thing that I'm doing.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today, I am delighted to say we are joined by Kasra Dash, SEO operator, conference founder, and the man behind the Masterminders. With a deep experience in rank and rent, Parasite SEO, and big link plays, he shared 300 plus backlink tests, cut through AI, AEO hype, and might possibly be the most handsome man in SEO, or at least from Scotland. Welcome to the show, Kasra.
Thanks for having me. And I quite liked that introduction. I'm not used to a professional introduction like that. So yeah, thank you.
Kasra, thanks for coming on. I think you're quite well known in our space, but for those who your name is new, why don't you give a quick bit of background info?
So quick bit of background info. I do a lot of SEO testing nowadays. Like, I don't really deal with like client work to say. Like, I still do bits of consultancy and stuff, but it's not my main forte. It's not where I buzz off stuff. I get excited when I break things or test the algorithms, because a lot of people play it too safe, or they just believe myths that people have just said online or up on stage. So whenever there's a myth that's been said, I'm always one of the first, or my group is one of the first to be able to test it out and actually get to the bottom of it. So that's one thing that I'm doing. Like what Chris said before, I also run an SEO conference, or an SEO/business conference, every single year. And I'm now also focusing a little bit more on building a couple of brands. I've invested in a couple of things, and now it's just to build them and build them and build them. So yeah.
Awesome. So you teased us before we came on about an app. I'd be interested, before we dive into anything, what is that, and how has your experience in SEO and all of that helped with whatever this crazy new dating app, I assume, or what is it?
No, not a dating app. So I'll ask you guys both a question, and I think you'll probably both agree with me. Have you ever been spammed on LinkedIn, Facebook, with guys trying to sell you backlinks?
Yes.
Several times today.
Yeah. I'm sure if we were to open up our emails, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, there's a million different people trying to sell us a service, links, something along, anything, right? So my app is for SEOs. It's to help cut a lot of the BS out. It's to actually help grow the community as well. And it's also a way to connect people to the right people. Because I don't know about you guys, but I constantly get asked, like, who's the best person for technical SEO? Who's the best person for link building? Who's the best person for digital PR? And there's a lot of people that do a great job, like guys like yourself. You do an amazing job when it comes to digital PR, landing links. There's also the other side of the spectrum, where I would call them like cowboy SEOs or cowboy link builders, which they talk a really good game, but they don't provide a really good service. So that's the number one focus on the app. We've also got like conferences listed on there. We've got like live streams. So I've got about 60 podcast guests or workshop guests. I don't really like to call it a podcast, because it's more educational that we're going to be doing over there. And we're just going to be building that out over the next 2 or 3 years. I think that there's a big opportunity in the market where it comes to networking and meeting new people. And like, obviously you guys, you go to numerous different conferences, and I think you would probably agree with me in saying that the money's made in networking, meeting the right people at the bar. But I'm trying to almost take that online and connect people with the right people. So yeah.
So a community aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What will be your strategy for growing that? Will you rely on SEO, rely on your network? How do you think you'll grow it?
So I've got a big email list. I've also got like quite a big YouTube following. It means I'm going to start needing to ramp up YouTube videos again, which I actually said maybe 3 or 4 months ago after uploading for like 18 months daily that I'm going to stop. That means I'm going to be on the YouTube grind again, it's a love-hate relationship with YouTube. So I don't mind doing it, but it's when you're constantly talking about links or when you're constantly talking about content or SEO, it does get a little bit mind-numbing at times. So that'll be one part, email lists. And I've also just got like a big following on social media and stuff. So yeah.
I saw you post that you were going to stop the YouTube. I think you probably just needed a break, didn't you? When you're doing one a day for 18 months or something.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Like Julian Goldie's still doing daily videos, so I'm now looking at him and I'm like, well, maybe I'm being a little bit of a bitch here. I think he's doing like 2 or 3 a day now, and I'm like,
with the help of his AI avatar.
Yeah, with the help of his, that is true.
But yeah, he's pumping out.
Yeah. So a lot of the things you mentioned, these big audiences, they're brand building activities. I think in SEO, like we're starting to see, I mean, it's always been clear that's been important, but in SEO in the last couple of years has become really important. Can you talk about how you've approached that, building a personal brand in this space?
Yeah. So I think this is a 2-part answer, right? So I'll answer the brand building part first because I feel like that's slightly changed, and then I'll move on to the personal brand. So for brand building, if you had asked me like 3 or 4 years ago, I would say like just pump out as much content, be resourceful as much as you possibly can, build topical authority, build links, and that'll get you number one. But from what I've seen, a lot of the websites that are winning now are sites that are active on their blog, so they've got an on-site presence, but they're also active on social media, so they might have like really engaging infographics being published through Twitter. They've got a really engaging podcast that they do, like what you guys are doing right now. They might have shorts, for example. That's what a lot of the big brands are doing. Like a really good example that I can give to you guys is Skybet. Now, I don't know who owns Skybet, but the person that owns it isn't the person uploading the content. He's not the person doing the podcast. He's not the person creating the infographics. They've went and signed up, like for example, Roy Keane to do the podcast. They've got, like, for example, a different person doing their shorts, like quick interviews and stuff. So a lot of people, when I say like you need to be active on everywhere, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean Chris physically uploading content, then doing a video, then doing a short. Like you would probably just want to hire like an influencer in that space to do shorts for you, or an influencer. Like, for example, if you guys weren't confident on camera, but you guys are, but let's say you weren't, you would potentially go to a Craig Campbell or a Matt Diggy or someone like myself to do the podcast for you. And in that way, you're at least being seen on a different social media channel or a different SEO channel. So that's what a lot of the big brands are doing now. If you'd asked me that question 4 or 5 years ago, I would say that's like just a waste of time. Just go and upload as many articles. So we have definitely seen a shift in that. Then to answer your personal brand question, I'm seeing a lot more big brands. Again, they might be potentially not confident on camera, and they are partnering with like influencers in the space. Like, I don't know if you guys are seeing any of the ads that SimilarWeb's running at the minute on Instagram and Facebook, but they're running a lot of influencer ads. So what I mean by that is like they've went to, for example, Chris Pantelli that's got 300,000 followers on Instagram. And they've said, hey, Chris, you've got a really good SEO following and you're also publishing a lot of content online. Are we able to attach our brand with you? We might even give you a free license to the tool, but we want to use your Instagram to run ads for our tool. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff like that being built out. So personal brand, again, like it's really important to start doing it. Again, a lot of people don't like doing it because they're just used to uploading content or I don't know, being in the basement, locked away, just antisocial. But I think that with the rise of AI, to be able to connect with people one-to-one, it's all about having conversations like this, like bringing on and I don't like being called an influencer, but bringing on influencers, talking about SEO, demonstrating that you're a knowledgeable person in the space, and being able to show that in long form, short form, blog content is really important.
I think that's really interesting. And I think that is one of the things that people that have had this shift from being in SEO for a decade or whatnot and being able to just do good work that ranks from behind a computer and make a shit ton of money to now it being like imperative to start building brand, not just to be visible in Google, but also inside of their LLMs. It can be daunting to think, oh, damn, does that mean I've now got to become a podcast host and put my face on YouTube and do all of this? But like you've just said, you can leverage different channels. And I think this will probably work better for certain channels. Like, you know, real credibility could come from the founder or one of the team members that is more present across social. But then you can also outsource things like YouTube and TikTok content. So I think that's genius. And I'm seeing that a lot as well. I've seen the Sky Bet stuff and the similar web ads on Instagram. And it doesn't water it down in any way. It's just more visibility, isn't it?
I think it's just from a different, like, for example, if you guys were going to run a marketing campaign about Linkify, you're going to have a very set way of marketing it. So like you might say, again, I don't know what your typical client base looks like, but you might say, I only want to deal with SaaS companies. And then you're going to only go after that type of market and that type of wording. But when you go out to, for example, an influencer, they might put their own little twist to it, and you might not have even thought about that marketing angle, and that'll bring more eyeballs in. Like, I could be wrong in saying this, so correct me if I am wrong, but you guys done something very similar a few years ago before you even had the podcast. I could have swore that you had Jason Mills from Affiliate, forget his brand, and also Niche Site Lady as well promoting you guys. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, we did. That was one of our early growth strategies. We did quite a bit of that.
So, I mean, it certainly works. But again, if you're a brand watching this, don't just look at numbers. Like I'm at a conference at the minute. A lot of the affiliate managers look at just numbers. So like some of the guys in there would look at how many keywords a website's ranking for, but they wouldn't look at the actual intent of the keywords. Or some of the guys in there would look at just, okay, this guy has 60,000 people on their mailing list, but they won't look at the activity rate. It's really easy to go and get 60,000 people on a mailing list, but if no one's clicking the links, no one's opening the emails, there's just no point actually going to that influencer or actually promoting that brand or whatever. So you always want to make certain that like the activity rate's there, because otherwise it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Do you have ways that you test that? That was one thing we struggled with. You'd get really big lists that just didn't convert, and then you'd get small, really dedicated lists that would just crush it. How do you approach, when you're approaching someone, how do you figure out how, engaged their list is? Because the metrics can easily be manipulated, I think.
Yeah. I'll give you my perspective, and I'll also give you I'll give you my perspective from an influencer point of view, and I'll also give you a perspective from a business owner point of view. So if I'm getting pitched to by Linkify, for example, right, and I've got 13,000 people on my mailing list, brilliant. If I start randomly promoting you guys and like, oh, you need to get digital PR, it's the best thing ever, blah, 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 very, very low chance of people would actually click onto it, because they've never heard you guys, they've never seen a case study, they might not even know what digital PR is, X, Y, and Z reasons, right? I almost would work with brands and say, look, I know you're taking a bit of a risk for me, but we need to make this work. Like, why don't we do like a course that we can promote for, let's say, $1, right? $1 course. If we show people how to do digital PR manually, a lot of people will say, why would you want to do that? But the big brands that just don't have the time, they'll probably watch maybe one or two videos and be like, I'm going to hire Chris, or I'm going to hire Nick to do my digital PR. That's the approach that I would have. So it would be like a multi-sequence email. It's very, very naive in people thinking, okay, I'm going to pay, I don't know, Matt Diggity for an email blast, and I'm going to get 60,000 customers. Realistically, it doesn't matter how good your mailing list is. It's very, very low that's gonna happen. So I would almost have like a multi-sequence setup. That's my strategy when people want to promote my mailing list or whatever. I don't really do much promotion anyway, but that's the thought process that I would have. But then from a business owner point of view, so if you guys are looking to get an influencer on board, I would be looking at how active they are on social media. Look at potentially what they've promoted in the past, how frequently they promote things, and if, say, for example, you go to, I don't know, XYZ, and they've potentially promoted SimilarWeb, you could potentially reach out to SimilarWeb and say, like, hey, how did that perform? Because that's the ultimate way of getting results. But one of the things is making certain how burned out their email list is, and also how they like replenish the emails as well, because it's fine saying I've got 160,000 emails on my mailing list, but if only 2% of that opens their email, that basically means that 98% of people are just bored of that mailing list, right? So for me, I have like a set where if somebody doesn't open, I think it's like 4 of my previous emails, they get removed off my mailing list. So it's 13,000 people that are active on my mailing list. Another way to actually look at that is look at lead magnets. So how are they acquiring the actual emails as well? Because I'll give you a funny example. There was a guy that we were looking to get as an influencer, not in the SEO space at all, but he was getting emails because he was saying to people like, hey, if you sign up to my mailing list, you're going to get a free iPad, right? Or you get entered to get a free iPad, right? So if people are doing stuff like that, it's going to be very like low value people. So yeah, there's a lot of different checks.
I think that's definitely what happened to us, but probably accidentally without knowing, because it was the early days as well. So the lists that did really well for us, even though they were smaller, they were actively and organically talking about the things that we were like offering, like our solution to the problems that they were talking about. Whereas we'd put time and effort into other sort of influencer campaigns with much larger lists, and it was probably like very foreign to the list when all of a sudden he's just randomly said, oh, you should do digital PR with this company. So yeah, but it's a tricky thing to manage, but I think if you get it right, it's really powerful.
Yeah, it's almost like 1 + 1 = 1,000, right? Like they've already got the audience, you've got the service. That influencer might not provide that service, so it just makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I wanted to move on to the conference. You're launching a conference. We ran our own conference last year. Went pretty well. Is this the first one you've done? And tell us a little bit about the conference.
Yeah, so my conference, it started off as like a mastermind / meetup. Like I don't know what you guys think when it comes to like organizing a conference, but when I published the article I'm posting, I was like, right, there's going to be like maybe 10, 15 people. This was 2 years ago. It ended up being like 56, 57 people turned up. And then Chiang Mai last year, I held like a side conference. And again, that was maybe 70 people, 70, 80 people turned up. And then I said, right, okay, let's actually run a conference, because those two were like mastermind / they were like mastermind. So small groups of like 6 and 7 people talking and discussing like what their pain points are, growth strategies in their business. And then I was like, right, let's do a full-on conference for one day. We'll do a mastermind for another day, and then we'll have like a boat party as well. So that was in Manchester, June just gone, so a couple of months ago. And again, you publish that first Facebook post or that article, and you're like, it's just going to be me and Chris sat at the bar drinking alone, or like me and like a few mates.
I'm not going to Manchester.
Yeah, just going to be me at the bar drinking my sorrows away. But yeah, I published it, and I was like, right, like let's see what happens. I set aside a bulk load of money, about £100,000, to advertise it for the actual conference, the venue, advertising. So I mean, it went well. Like we fully sold out. Again, with anything, I don't know what your thoughts are when it comes to like starting a new business, but for me, I'm in a very good position that that I'm able to run things at a loss for the first 2 to 3 years to then be able to grow it, potentially sell it, or get investors on board. So that's the mindset I've got at the minute. It's all about growth when it comes to growing any of my brands at the minute. Just growth. See what happens along the way. Like I'm in a very fortunate position, thankfully, that I'm not desperate for money. So yeah.
I think it's really interesting to see some of the guys heavily involved in the SEO space that did well from that space to now be in sort of a new mindset, a new vibe that's heavily growth focused. So we had Jamie IF on a few weeks ago, who I think is in a similar situation, and he is just like all out growth. Obviously, did very well from SEO, but has adapted as you have as well, like quickly, in a very lean way and in a very targeted way, and you're just going after like what's in front of you.
Yeah, I've actually got a lot of respect for Jamie because I met him maybe must have been 2 or 3 years ago now at a conference, and back then he was making decent money, but he had just been hit. Like one of his sites had just been hit, and he was just panicking, like, "Oh, I've went from X amount to like half." And I was like, "Mate, just chill out. Like you're still earning decent money. Look at reinvestment opportunities. Look at business opportunities. Look at potentially investing into other brands." And he's went and done really well with Endorsely, and I think he's got like 4 or 5 developers now as well. So yeah, kudos to the guy. He's done well.
Yeah, it's a good place to be in, though. When you're right, when you can run it at a loss for a few years, when you don't have to make money the first year, because that's when like the big wins come from. It takes a couple years to build momentum. So what are the plans for the conference? Is this going to be a yearly event?
Yeah, so it's going to be a yearly event. Next year it's June 24th. 24th is the private mastermind. 25th is the workshop. 26th is the main conference. And next year again, we're scaling up. So we've done 150 this year in 2025. We're going to do 250 in 2026. And then we're going to keep scaling up every single year. But as you know yourself, Chris, like in the UK, we lack a good marketing / SEO conference. Like we've got Brighton SEO, but it's not really our target demographic, if you get what I mean. It's not. It doesn't feel like a Chiang Mai SEO or an SEO Estonia. It just feels a little bit. I don't know the correct words, but it just like I don't feel welcome there. So
too handsome.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, maybe that's the issue.
As anybody listening has some really practical advice. I think a conference, me and Nick, we did one. We probably won't do another one for a while. We loved it, but yeah, we're focusing on other things, I think, right now. But in terms of a branding activity, networking, it's a fantastic thing to do. So as a real practical piece of advice, I think the conference side hack, which you mentioned, is genius. So find a larger conference and you run a smaller one at the same location, but at a slightly different time. It's a massive cost saver. You've already got your audience in the exact place that you want them to be. So I think that is absolutely genius.
Yeah, a Parasite SEO conference.
Yeah, Parasite conference. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I was the first person to do it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I think that mine's is obviously developed into being its own conference. So I'm sure there was more than me doing it, but yeah, it's definitely a good way of attracting people and networking with people, and you can very easily cherry pick people that you want to speak to and people that you don't want to speak to as well. So yeah, highly recommend doing it.
You should definitely coin that term, Parasite conference. I think that would
Parasite
take off.
Conference.
But I think it probably. Go ahead.
I might check to see if the domain's available.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good idea. Okay, so Kasra, as we're getting towards the end, what I think we should at least touch on AI brand building. Obviously, is coming with so many benefits. This is what we're preaching now. This is why we love digital PR. Link building, we think, is one of the facets of building a brand. And then we think that brands is what's going to survive inside of Google and large language model search. But coming from a bit more of maybe like an affiliate background, like what are you seeing with AI? What are you excited about? What are you concerned about?
I feel like with AI, everything's just gotten quicker. So, for example, when I first got into SEO, and I feel like an old man saying that, I'm only 17 years old. But when I first got into SEO, I remember the SEO agency that I used to work at used to get content from this service, and it was something like $3 an article, so something along those lines. Back when content didn't really mean as much as it meant now. It was literally just TF-IDF words on a page and keyword density. So back then it would be about $3 an article, and it would maybe take about 6 days for that content writer to write that content, and then it would get proofread by your proofwriters, and that would maybe take 2 or 3 days. So that process would look like, if you're getting like 10, 15 service pages for like a local SEO website, that might take like a month to do. But now, like, you could probably smash out a decent, well SEO optimized article in I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, maybe even less if you've got your own MyGBT and stuff like that. So I think everything's just come down to how fast can you type, or how fast can you input things into AI. Like, I don't know what your process looks like, but for example, like we've started using multi-thread agents. So an agent speaks to another agent to fact check what agent A said, and if agent B is still unsure, it'll go to agent C. So we're starting to implement things like that into our business. There's like AI avatars, like we were talking about that before. Like Julian Goldie, for example, he's got his own AI avatar. He just types in a prompt, or his staff probably type in a prompt, and it's a video like live, and it's actually decent to watch. And also, from what I'm seeing from his comments, a lot of people don't even know it's an AI avatar. They think it's real Julian Goldie. So it's absolutely wild what you can do with AI. That being said, it's almost like driving without any side guards at times, because it's all fine and well. Like, I'm sure all three of us would agree in saying, like, AI is incredible. We probably use it day to day. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's really dangerous. So, like, I'm still seeing people say, oh yeah, just go into ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, type out saying like, hey, I want an SEO optimized article for SEO plumbers, Wyoming or wherever, and it publishes an article for you. But that's not the case. Like, there's so much intricacies that you need to give it. Like, I've got numerous GPTs, but I've got like one for LinkedIn, I've got one for my YouTube video script, I've got one for Facebook, I've got one for Instagram captions, I've got one for emails because my grammar is absolutely shocking. Like, it's
got the same.
Wild.
One for my wife.
Yeah. Apologies for your wife.
Yeah, it's just apology bot.
But yeah, like, there honestly should not be a reason as to why people can't scale out a website or scale out a personal brand or do videos or publish articles, or I'm even going as far as saying your website should be fully CRO optimized. Like, there's no reason that you can't focus on CRO optimization just by using Claude. Like, I've built out full websites using Claude or, for example, ChatGPT and stuff like that. And it looks amazing. It might take like a couple hours and stuff, but yeah, like, my developers are absolutely loving it. The one thing, again, going back to the guardrails, is be very careful if you're doing stuff with like security. Like, there was I mean, it sounds like I've just fired all my staff, and it's just me just typing away on ChatGPT. It's absolutely not the case. Like, I've still got my staff there, but they're kind of using AI as an assistant. But the I've they should, like, everyone should be embracing AI. It's crazy not to be embracing AI. But again, going back to like what we were saying before, don't just blindly start publishing, because I don't know if you guys saw this. Like this would be an amazing digital PR article to cover for you guys. Actually, you might have already done it, but there was an app maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and I don't know the exact name for it, but people were like claiming it to be like the reverse Tinder, right? So like these girls would go on a date with, for example, Chris, right? And let's say Chris done something bad, or he was just he didn't pay for the bill at the end of the date. They would
Sounds like
basically they would basically review Chris on
Oh,
this
God.
app, so that you would actually have like a starred rating. Now this app
Wow.
like completely blew up. Like it got millions of installs and stuff like that. But what had ended up happening is, I think it was developed on Lovable or one of those AI coding softwares, right? Don't quote me, but it might not have been Lovable. I don't want to get a court case or anything, but it was coded with AI, right? And what ended up happening is somebody was like, well, this isn't right. Like, Chris is an actually decent guy. And he ended up hacking this app, and he exported all of the women that have reviewed the guys, and they just shared all the data on like, it just went public. So then all the women were kicking off and stuff like that. So this is what I mean. Like, AI can be great, but just make certain that it's actually getting human checked, I would probably say.
Yeah, big risk with vibe coding. Like, you've got to make sure the security layer is there for sure.
There
But
was
on
a big
on the
super base breach, wasn't there? Like a couple of days ago or something. Like hundreds of millions of the database just was not secure for like hundreds of millions of users or something. So it's another
good.
concern. No.
Yeah, like I've got a few friends that work in banks and stuff like that, and they use AI, but the AI that they use is its own proprietary LLM. It's not got access to the outside world. It's only in use internally. You can't even, like, if, say, for example, you're working from home, you can't access that LLM, so it can't get hacked. So
Wow.
that's the actual like levels that banks are going to. But like Harry down the road has just loaded up, I don't know, an AI vibe coding software, and it's like, code me an app, and he can get it published easily, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that you need to be really careful of. And not only that as well, like going back to what we were saying about personal brand, it's really, really, really difficult to build a personal brand. It takes years. Like, you guys have been doing podcasts for the past year. You've been able to get some really big names out there, but it's really easy to burn your personal brand as well. So if you are vibe coding something, or if you are putting out something that's maybe not had all the checks, really easy to burn your personal brand.
Yeah, if I'm getting multiple 1-star reviews from women on this dating app, my personal brand's shot.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Basic customer service, man.
Yeah.
Get that 5-star review.
Kasra, it has been awesome to talk to you. I want to talk to you again in maybe 6 months, 12 months. Let's do this one again. I like to see what's going on. If people want to come to your conference, if they want to talk to you, where can they track you down? Where can they find tickets?
Yeah, so you can find me on guardrails.com. Tickets are on themasterminders.com.
Awesome. Kasra, enjoy the rest of your conference in Portugal, and thank you for being an awesome guest.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Kasra.
Cheers.